My name's Michelle, and it all started when I was just a kid, 8 years old. My parents split up, and suddenly, I was living with my grandparents. Dad moved to another state, called a few times, then poof, vanished completely after a couple of years. Mom married some loaded businessman and jetted off to Europe. I remember the day Mom left. She hugged me tight, tears in her eyes. "I'll visit, baby. I promise," she said. I believed her. Kids are stupid like that sometimes. For a while, she kept her word. She'd sweep in once a year, always on my birthday. No husband, no new baby. Yeah, I forgot to mention, Mom had another kid. A sister I'd never met. But Mom would show up, arms loaded with gifts, smelling of expensive perfume and full of stories about her fabulous new life. Life went on. I went to school, made some friends, tried to be normal. But there was always this hole, you know? This empty space where my parents should have been. Grandpa and Grandma did their best to fill it. Grandpa would take me fishing on weekends, teach me how to bait a hook and cast a line. Grandma was always in the kitchen, cooking up a storm. She'd let me help, teaching me her secret recipes. But when I turned 13, Grandpa got sick. Cancer, the doctors said. It was quick, brutal. One minute he was there, telling his corny jokes and showing me how to fix a leaky faucet. The next, he was gone. The funeral was small. Just me, Grandma, and a handful of neighbors. Mom couldn't make it. "Business emergency," she said over the phone. I wanted to scream at her, tell her that her own father was dead, for crying out loud. But I didn't. I just said, "Okay, Mom, I understand." When I turned 16, Mom's yearly visits suddenly stopped. No explanation, no apology, just radio silence. Our relationship dwindled down to occasional phone calls, usually initiated by me. Meanwhile, I threw myself into my studies. Graduated high school with decent grades, nothing spectacular but enough to get me into a local college. Those years flew by in a blur of classes, part-time jobs, and hanging out with friends. Before I knew it, I was tossing my cap in the air at graduation. After college, I landed a job at a local marketing firm. Nothing glamorous, but it paid the bills and gave me a sense of purpose. Life was okay. Not great, not terrible, just okay. I had my routine, my friends, my cozy little world in Grandma's house. But life, that sneaky bastard, had other plans. It started with Grandma forgetting things. Small stuff at first, where she put her glasses, what day it was. I brushed it off as old age. But then it got worse. She'd forget to turn off the stove, wander out of the house in her nightgown. The diagnosis came like a punch to the gut, Alzheimer's. I tried my best to take care of her, but it was hard. Watching the woman who raised me, who was my rock, slowly slip away, it was hell. The day she died, I was holding her hand. She looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in months. "Michelle," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "I love you, sweetheart." And then she was gone. I called Mom, choking back tears. "Mom, Grandma's, she's gone." There was a long pause on the other end. "Oh, Michelle," she finally said, her voice oddly flat. "I'm so sorry. I can't get away right now. Work is just crazy. You understand, don't you?" So I planned the funeral alone. Picked out the casket, arranged the flowers, wrote the eulogy. The service was small, just like Grandpa's. As I watched them lower the casket, I felt more alone than ever. After the funeral, I went back to Grandma's house, my house now, I guess. It felt too big, too empty. But I couldn't bear the thought of leaving. This was my home, filled with memories of the two people who'd raised me. Life went on. I threw myself into work, trying to fill the void Grandma left behind. Months passed, then a year, then 2. Then, out of the blue, Mom called. "Michelle, darling," she chirped, sounding oddly cheerful. "I have wonderful news. Your sister's coming to America for college." Isn't that exciting? I blinked, caught off guard.
Yeah.
I guess. That's nice. Here's the thing, Mom continued, her voice taking on that syrupy sweet tone she used when she wanted something. She wants to go alone, but I'm worried about her. I was hoping she could stay with you. I felt my stomach drop. Mom, I don't think. Now, Michelle, she cut me off, her voice suddenly sharp. Let's not forget who that house really belongs to. I'm the direct heir, you know. I've been very generous letting you live there. The least you could do is look after your sister. I felt like I'd been slapped. But Grandma left the house to me, I said weakly. She wrote a will. Mom laughed, a cold sound that sent chills down my spine. Oh, sweetie. You don't understand how these things work. Trust me, I could claim that house if I wanted to. But I'm not going to, as long as you help out with your sister. Understand? My mind was reeling. Could she really take the house? I didn't know enough about inheritance law to be sure. And the thought of losing my home, the last connection I had to Grandma and Grandpa. The day my sister arrived felt like the beginning of the end. I stood at the airport, holding a sign with her name, Chloe, feeling like an idiot. I'd only seen her in Mom's Facebook photos, always dolled up and posing like a model. I figured I'd spot her easily. Boy, was I wrong. I almost missed her when she strutted out of the arrival gate. This girl looked nothing like the sister I'd seen in pictures. She was, well, perfect. Too perfect. Like someone had ordered her from a celebrity lookalike catalog. Chloe? I called out, uncertain. She turned, her oversized sunglasses perched on a nose that was definitely not the one I'd seen in older photos. Oh my God, you must be Michelle, she said, her voice dripping with disdain. As she got closer, I could see the work she'd had done. Lips pumped up like life rafts, cheekbones that could cut glass, and a body that screamed at plastic surgeon's magnum opus. I felt like a potato next to her. As we waited for a porter, because apparently, that was a thing now, Chloe started rattling off demands like she was reading from a 5-year-old's Christmas list. So, like, in Europe, we have this amazing housekeeper who does everything. And a cook. You've arranged for that, right? She didn't wait for an answer. And I'll need my own car. Nothing cheap, obviously. Maybe a Mercedes. I stood there, mouth hanging open. Was this girl for real? Chloe, I said, trying to keep my voice level, I work a regular job. I can't afford. She cut me off with a wave of her manicured hand. Ugh. Whatever. Mom will take care of it. Let's just go already. We made it to the parking lot, and I led her to my car, a beat-up old Honda that had seen better days. Chloe took one look at it and lost her mind. What kind of squalor is this? Each word was like a slap. You expect me to ride in that thing? Before I could respond, she whipped out her phone. Mom?
Yeah.
It's me. You will not believe what Michelle is trying to make me ride in. It's practically a death trap. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, love you too. She hung up and turned to me, a smug smile on her face. Mom's arranging for a car service. You can take that rust bucket home yourself. An hour later, Chloe's fancy town car pulled up in front of Grandma's house. As soon as we stepped inside, Chloe's dramatics reached new heights. Ugh. It smells like old people and mothballs in here, she shrieked. This is, like, a health hazard or something. We need to throw everything out and start over. I watched in horror as she stomped through the house, criticizing everything from the worn carpet to the family photos on the walls. When she reached my bedroom, she tossed her designer bag on the bed. This room's mine now. You can sleep. I don't know, wherever. The couch maybe? I stood there, speechless. This was my room. My sanctuary. The place where I'd cried myself to sleep after Grandma died, where I'd celebrated getting my first job, where I kept all my memories. But looking at Chloe's face, I knew arguing would be pointless. This girl was used to getting her way, and she'd make my life hell if I refused. A week after Hurricane Chloe made landfall in my life, I came home from work to find a shiny new Mercedes parked in my spot in the garage. My beat-up Honda had been unceremoniously shoved onto the street. "What the hell?" I muttered, stepping into the house. Chloe was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She didn't even look up. "Oh, that's my new car. Mom got it for me." "Your piece of junk was taking up valuable space." The next day, I thought I'd seen it all. I was wrong. I came home from work, exhausted and looking forward to a quiet evening. Instead, I walked into chaos. The house was filled with strange men in overalls, carrying out furniture and bringing in new pieces I'd never seen before. I found Chloe in the backyard, sipping a cocktail and supervising the mayhem like a pint-sized dictator. "Oh, you're home," she said, not bothering to look at me. "Don't worry, I've got everything under control." This dump needed a major overhaul. I told Mom it was unlivable, and she agreed. "You should be thanking me." I watched in horror as workers carried out Grandma's old rocking chair, the bookshelf Grandpa had built by hand, the coffee table where I'd done my homework for years. "Stop," I cried. "You can't throw those out." But it was too late. I could only watch helplessly as my memories were tossed into a dumpster. That night, I called Mom, tears streaming down my face. "How could you let her do this?" I sobbed. "This is my home." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. When Mom spoke, her voice was cold. "Let's get one thing straight. That house belongs to me. I'm the rightful heir, and I'm letting you live there out of the goodness of my heart. If you can't appreciate that, maybe we need to reconsider this arrangement." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. You wouldn't. "Just be grateful and keep quiet," Mom snapped. "And for God's sake, try to be nicer to your sister. She's doing you a favor." The line went dead. I sat there, phone in hand, feeling like my whole world was crumbling around me. The renovation lasted 2 hellish weeks. I came home every day to find more of my life erased, replaced by Chloe's idea of fashion. The warm, cozy home I'd grown up in was transformed into something out of a sterile design magazine. When it was finally over, I stood in the living room, feeling like a stranger in my own house. The familiar floral wallpaper was gone, replaced by stark white paint. Grandma's comfy old sofa had been swapped for a sleek leather monstrosity that looked about as comfortable as sitting on a rock. The family photos that used to line the walls were nowhere to be seen. As I retreated to my new room, the smallest bedroom, since Chloe had claimed the master for herself, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was losing more than just furniture. I was losing my connection to Grandma and Grandpa, to the life I'd built here. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, Chloe decided to turn our house into party central. It started small, just a few friends over on a Friday night. But soon, it was like living in a nightclub that never closed. Every weekend, sometimes even on weeknights, the house would fill up with Chloe's college buddies. They were all cut from the same cloth as her, rich, entitled, and looking down their noses at everything and everyone they deemed beneath them. Which, apparently, included me. One night, I overheard Chloe talking to one of her friends in the kitchen. I wasn't eavesdropping, I swear. I was just trying to grab a quick snack before retreating to my room to escape the chaos. "Who's that?" I heard a girl ask. "She looks kinda old to be here." Chloe's laugh was like nails on a chalkboard. "Oh, that's just Michelle. She's like this distant cousin or something. Mom lets her work here as a maid." I slammed the fridge shut, not caring if they heard me. Tears stung my eyes as I stormed back to my room. How dare she? This was my house, damn it. The next morning, after Chloe had finally rolled out of bed around noon, I confronted her. "No more parties," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "This has to stop. I'm tired of coming home to a house full of strangers. I'm tired of the noise, the mess, everything." She rolled her eyes. "God, you're such a buzzkill. No wonder you don't have any friends." This isn't about friends, I said. The neighbors are complaining. There are families with kids next door, elderly people who can't sleep because of your noise. Not my problem, Chloe shrugged. They should move if they can't handle a little fun. I was about to really let her have it when the doorbell rang. It was Mrs. Johnson from next door, looking tired and frustrated. Michelle, dear, she said, I hate to be a bother, but these parties, they're getting out of hand. Last night, someone threw up in my rose bushes. I felt my face burn with shame. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Johnson. It won't happen again. I promise. As soon as I closed the door, I turned to Chloe. That's it. No more parties. I mean it. The next day, I got a call from Mom. I should have known Chloe would go running to her. Michelle, Mom's voice was sharp. What's this I hear about you trying to control your sister? I took a deep breath. Mom, it's not like that. The parties are out of control. The neighbors are complaining. The neighbors? Mom cut me off. Who cares about the neighbors? Your sister is trying to make friends, to have a normal college experience. And you're trying to ruin it for her. But Mom. No buts, she snapped. I won't have you interfering with Chloe's studies or her social life. Do you understand me? I felt something snap inside me. All the frustration, all the anger I'd been holding back, it all came rushing out. No, Mom, I don't understand, I said, my voice shaking. I can't live like this anymore. Take your precious Chloe back to Europe if you want, but I'm done being her maid and punching bag. I hung up before she could respond, my heart pounding. I'd done it. I'd finally stood up for myself. Just when I thought I'd finally taken a stand, life threw me another curveball. A week after my ultimatum to Mom, she showed up on my doorstep unannounced. She looked different, tired, worn down in a way I'd never seen before. Michelle, she said, her voice quivering. We need to talk. I let her in, my mind racing. Was she here to take the house? To drag Chloe back to Europe? Instead, she dropped a bombshell that left me reeling. I'm sick, Michelle, she said, tears welling up in her eyes. The doctors, they don't think I have much time left. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. What? Mom, what are you talking about? She went on to explain about some rare disease, using medical terms I didn't understand. But the gist was clear, Mom was dying. That's why I need you, sweetheart, she said, gripping my hand. Chloe, she's going to need someone when I'm gone. Someone to guide her, to be there for her. I need to know she'll have you. If you do, well, I'll make sure you're taken care of too. The house will be yours, free and clear. I blinked. But, the house is already mine. Grandma's will. Mom waved her hand dismissively. As Grandma's daughter, I'm the primary heir. I could claim at least half the house if I wanted to. My head was spinning. I need time to think, I stammered. Mom nodded, wiping away a tear. Of course, dear. I'll be here for a couple of days. We can talk more. Those 2 days were surreal. Mom fawned over the renovations Chloe had done, praising her exquisite taste at every turn. I was silent, afraid to say something rude about it. But the weirdest part was Chloe's behavior. It was like someone had flipped a switch. Gone was the party girl, replaced by a perfect angel who helped with dishes and spoke in a sickeningly sweet voice. She even offered to make dinner one night, though I noticed she ordered takeout and tried to pass it off as her own cooking. Mom ate it up, literally and figuratively. See how thoughtful your sister is, she cooed. You two are going to be so good for each other. I wanted to scream. Couldn't Mom see through this act? But every time I opened my mouth to protest, I remembered Mom's words about the house. About her illness. Could I really risk losing everything? On the last night of Mom's visit, she cornered me in the kitchen. Have you thought about what I said? She asked, her eyes pleading. I took a deep breath. Yes, I said finally. I'll try for you. Mom's face lit up. She pulled me into a hug, something she hadn't done in years. Thank you, sweetheart. You don't know what this means to me. I can go back to Europe knowing Chloe will be in good hands. The ink had barely dried on Mom's departure when Hurricane Chloe made her grand return. The following week, I got off work early and headed home, looking forward to a quiet evening. As soon as I turned onto our street, I knew something was wrong. The bass from some EDM track was so loud it made my car windows vibrate. I burst through the front door to find my worst nightmare come to life. The house was packed with people, drunk college kids, sketchy-looking older guys, even a couple making out on my grandmother's antique table. Chloe, I screamed over the music. Where are you? I pushed through the crowd, dodging spilled drinks and grabbing hands. When I reached Chloe's room, I found the door locked. Without thinking, I kicked it open. Chloe was there, tangled up with some guy I'd never seen before. They both looked up at me, startled. What the fuck? Chloe shrieked. Get out. Something in me snapped. All the frustration, all the anger I'd been bottling up for months came pouring out. No, you get out, I roared. All of you. This party is over. I stormed through the house, turning off the music and shouting at people to leave. When they didn't move fast enough, I grabbed the phone. I'm calling the cops, I yelled. Anyone still here in 5 minutes is getting arrested. That got them moving. The house emptied in record time, leaving behind a mess that made my stomach turn. Chloe emerged from her room, her face twisted with rage. What the hell is wrong with you? She spat. You're just jealous because I know how to have fun. Well, guess what? I got kicked out of college, so now I can party whenever I want. And there's nothing you can do about it. Something inside me broke. Without thinking, I grabbed her arm and dragged her to the front door. Oh.
Yeah.
Watch me. I shoved her outside, then ran back to her room. I grabbed armfuls of her designer clothes and threw them out onto the lawn. You want to party? Go party somewhere else. I screamed, my voice hoarse. By now, neighbors had gathered, drawn by the commotion. I could hear Mrs. Johnson's voice, saying something about how it was about time I stood up for myself. But I didn't care about the audience. I was beyond caring about anything. I was still sitting on the floor, my back against the front door, when my phone rang. Mom's name flashed on the screen. I took a deep breath and answered, bracing myself for the storm. How dare you? Mom's voice crackled through the speaker, shrill with anger. Chloe just called me in tears. You ungrateful little reptile, after everything I've done for you. I cut her off with a laugh. A real, genuine laugh that bubbled up from somewhere deep inside me. Everything you've done for me? I said, my voice surprisingly steady. That's rich, Mom. Really rich. Don't you take that tone with me, young lady, Mom snarled. I'll remind you that I'm the rightful heir to that house. I can take it away from you with a snap of my fingers. I felt a smile spread across my face. No, Mom, you can't. I talked to a lawyer yesterday, Grandma's will is ironclad. She left everything to me. Not you, not Chloe. Me. And there's nothing you can do about it. I heard Mom take a shaky breath. When she spoke again, her tone had changed completely. Now, Michelle, let's not be hasty. I'm sure we can work something out. If you take Chloe back, I'll make it worth your while. I have property in Europe, a villa by the sea, a vineyard. It could all be yours. I thought about it for a moment. A villa by the sea did sound nice. But then I remembered the peace I'd felt in the moments after I'd kicked Chloe out. The relief of finally standing up for myself. No villa was worth giving that up. Thanks, but no thanks, I said firmly. Grandma left me her savings. It's more than enough for me to live comfortably. I don't need or want anything from you. I hung up and immediately blocked both her number and Chloe's. As I sat there in the quiet house, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. For the first time in years, maybe for the first time ever, I was truly free. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. I threw myself into cleaning up the mess Chloe had left behind, both literally and figuratively. I repainted walls, scrubbed floors, and slowly began to reclaim my space. One day, as I was chatting with Mrs. Johnson over the fence, she mentioned something that made my heart skip a beat. "You know," she said casually, "I saw some furniture at the flea market last week that looked just like your grandmother's old pieces. It was a shame to see it there, but I figured you must have sold it during the renovation." I thanked her and raced to my car. An hour later, I was wandering through the flea market, my heart pounding. And there they were, the grandma's old rocking chair, the bookshelf Grandpa had built, even the coffee table where I'd done my homework for years. I bought them all back for a fraction of what they were worth to me. The vendor looked at me strangely as I hugged the rocking chair, tears in my eyes, but I didn't care. Over the next few days, I transformed one of the spare bedrooms into a replica of Grandma's old living room. As I arranged the familiar furniture, hung the old family photos back on the walls, I felt like I was rebuilding more than just a room. I was rebuilding my connection to my past, to the people who had loved me unconditionally. Months have passed since then. The house is quiet now, peaceful. Sometimes, when I sit in Grandma's rocking chair, reading a book or just enjoying the silence, I think about everything that's happened. About Mom and Chloe and the life I thought I wanted. I won't pretend it doesn't hurt sometimes, knowing I've cut ties with the only family I had left. But then I look around at the home I've reclaimed, at the life I've built for myself, and I know I made the right choice.